Hello, everybody. Welcome to World Edition on the Pod TV network. I'm Nick Palavita. I will not be your host today. That'll be up to Mark Lee, who'll bring you the news. And of course, so one of the biggest parts of the news, and I hope he follows this, is the strike, the UAW strike, which is something that could affect the entire economy. And I'm not sure if they're going to resolve it. I have my own thoughts about how it should have been resolved years ago by issuing stock options to the employees, or like what Walmart has, believe it or not, an employee stock option participation program. So a lot of the Walmart employees, if you work for them, my son worked one time. I said, "Well, they got ESPP." I said, "You definitely want to buy in because you get to buy the stock at a 15% discount. It's a great deal." Now, a lot of Walmart employees do not take advantage of it, but basically they're handing money to their employees, whether they know it or not, through an ESPP program. Publix has an ESOP, so that all the employees participate. So if the stock goes down, it hurts all of them. General Motors, come on, guys. Microsoft has a stock option. Google has a stock option program. So what's wrong with the UAW? Let me tell you what's wrong. It's the attitude of the people in the Midwest. That's what's wrong. And that's the real problem. And I remember when at the University of South Florida, we had all these people coming in from University of Michigan, Ohio State, thumping their chest about how good and smart they were. And then the people in Seattle ate their lunch with companies like Amazon, Starbucks, Expedia, Microsoft. Why did they eat the lunch of the people in the Midwest? Because they offered their employees stock options. That's one of the many reasons. And the fact is, the people in the Midwest, the executives have their heads up their rears. So whatever happens to stock, I say the people in the Midwest so richly deserve this, because if they're so bloody smart, they should have figured it out a long time ago. I'll tell you also, there's a big thing out there between employers and employees. I'm an employer, you're an employee, and hence I'm greater than you. And this is a wrong attitude too. So when we look at, and that attitude goes on for generations. So what you do is you have a culture of trash. Now, who's eating their lunch? Tesla, which by the way doesn't have a union. They pay their workers less. Okay, $45 an hour as opposed to $66 an hour at General Motors. So how do they get away with it? Perhaps they have other benefits like stock option programs, et cetera. So what's happening in the great Midwest just shows the inadequacy of the executives and the leaders that are out there, and the big greed that exists between corporate America and the unions, because they're both to blame for it. So anyway, that's my dialogue, Mark. I'm pretty sure you have more news than just the UAW.
That was a good dialogue. That was a lot of good
Yeah,
information.
they say news is opinion too today. So the news is they're on strike. Opinion is all the garbage I threw out afterwards. That
It's
people
out a bunch of things that people are thinking about. And there's all kinds of things going on in the world and everything. Apparently, there's a refuel that was located by the team looking for the missing F-35 fighter jet there in South Carolina. So I guess they're finding that it might have been found or something. And the Marine Corps has ordered an aviation stand down after the mishap. So they are ordering for a stand down. So I guess we won't be seeing any fighter jets flying for a while they try to figure out what happened in that space as the F-35 fighter jet search turns to recovery as officials are probing that mishap. So definitely it looks like we're having a little bit of a stand down because we've got folks that I guess didn't learn how to fly as effectively as they thought they learned how to fly and everything. But it'll be interesting to see what folks have to say about that. It could have been just a electronic malfunction or something along those lines. It might not have even been pilot error. It could have been some of the lovely electronics that go on, because we know that a lot of things are actually controlled by the electronics and not necessarily the humans as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they find out what happened in that particular situation. Because, we got so many things that are flown and they're kind of governed by machines. I know we talk a lot about AI and other things. So sometimes I guess the machines don't always work the way we want them to work, and all in that space. But I don't know what you think about that. But there are sometimes that you can't even get your own things to work, whether that's a microwave or a washing machine or an oven or whatever. So definitely that is something that goes on in a regular basis and everything. And guess what? There's a breakup going on in the Democratic Party. Apparently, that was what one of the articles that Politico was talking about and everything, because apparently Eric Adams reportedly won't see Biden during his New York trip as the Democratic relations or their relationship between them tense over the migrant crisis. So Mayor Adams says the soaring cost of the migrant crisis is going to hurt low-income New Yorkers. So Mayor Adams and Governor Huckle are calling the migrant influx unprecedented. Historians disagree. So I guess they talk about, like you talk about, how, you know, we had that lovely Statue of Liberty that's supposed to be welcoming people all the time. So there's probably been several influxes all along those lines. So that's definitely something that's going on and everything. And you'll love this one, Nick. You're really going to love this one. But apparently they're getting ready to have some conversations. And we got Debbie with us, so I got to find out what she's got to say about this as well. But apparently there is conversations around a dress code. So they're going to have a dress code instituted as well. And like I said, I got Debbie with me here, as well as Lee Newton Rhodes. And this all has to do with Fetterman, but apparently Senate rules changed to lift dress code steers up controversy over Fetterman's attire. So Fetterman apparently was dressing down critics of the U.S. Senate dress reform, but Susan Collins joked she will wear a bikini to the Senate while slamming the dress code changes and everything. So maybe we're going to see a young lady wearing a bikini in the Senate and everything, because she was definitely saying, hey, look, I've got a dress code now, but I want to like see what I can do about the dress code as well. So that's definitely something that is going on. And just if you wanted something else, and then like I said, I'm going to bring in Debbie, and there's tons of other news items and everything. But there is a Alabama band director that was tased and arrested after his high school football game and all along those lines. And apparently, you know, he told his students to keep playing music. So, you know, the music must keep on playing, I guess was his kind of old attitude and everything. So definitely that was something that I saw in the news. You know, it's that joke, the music must go on, or the show must go on. That's what he was telling was the show must go on, despite the fact that I'm getting tased and all along those lines. So like he said, he chose the band to keep on playing, and I guess the band did that and everything. So that's just some of the things that I have seen. And like I said, there's a number of other things. Rudy Giuliani was sued by his former lawyer for $1.4 million in unpaid legal fees. So that's definitely something going on. There's got these unpaid bills that I guess are all in that space. But like I said, I get just some other news items, and we're talking about some of these things as well. But hey, Debbie, what's your thoughts about a dress code for the Senate? Did y'all have a dress code when you were mayor and everything, and all along those lines? And would you even dare? I mean, you were in California. Would you even dare to wear a bikini?
In California, when we moved to California from Kansas City, my mother said, "Hey, kids can go barefooted," and we did everywhere we went. And that was in 1968. Of course, everybody was barefooted in 1968. And no, I don't think there should be a dress code. You know what came to mind when you said that? Remember that song "Express Yourself" that came out? I don't remember when, in probably the 70s. And I think what you wear does express yourself. And so if you want to be sloppy, dress sloppy, express yourself. But I do think it's important to be comfortable. They're there for long, long hours. I think it's important to respect the office, and that is expressed by the way you dress and the way you act. So and getting into the express yourself, that goes back to the band leader as well. You know, that band's got to express themselves, even if he gets tased.
Yeah,
and then we go to free speech to, express yourself.
I like that idea of expressing yourself. Lee Newton Rhodes, you're one that loves manners and definitely family values and all of that stuff. What do you think of this notion of there being a dress code and, maybe Susan Collins wearing a bikini?
I don't know about the bikini part, but there has to be some reasonableness in terms of business dress and attire. When you go into a courtroom, the judges wear robes. To get into a courtroom and see a judge, flip-flops and shorts and not even a top or whatever, because in New York State, women don't have to wear tops. I mean, where do we draw the line? Police officers have uniforms. Athletes have uniforms. And one big problem I do have with it, whether they had to do it or not, is the exemptions. If you're going to have it, there's no dress code for congressmen. Why does my understanding is staffers still have to abide by some dress code? Why the double standard?
Yeah,
I
definitely
agree
doesn't need
with
to be a.
that. It shouldn't
Oh,
be
you
a
saying
double
Debbie?
standard. No double standard.
Yeah, definitely not a double standard. Doesn't need to be a double standard, and all along those lines. And we talked about it briefly, but we didn't really get into it a lot yesterday and everything.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry, Mark. Are we gonna have a dress code for Pod TV?
We
I try
do.
to have at
You
least
didn't know that,
a
did you?
decent shirt. What did you say, Nick?
I said we do. You just don't know that, Lee.
I just don't know. I guess that's a good sign.
You haven't been
So far, no
called
one has violated it.
You know, I mean, when I go to court, I dress up, obviously. I mean, and some of the
Most people
shows
do.
dress up, obviously, because there is a rule of reason when it comes to dress. And when you go to court. Now, here's what I also do see. Some of the people that go to court, and I'm talking about the plaintiffs and the defendant, they dress like slobs. Total disrespect for the legal system. It's disgusting, and I'm sure they get the justice that they deserve by the way they dress. But I'll also tell you this. Now, this is only for the people that are successful listening out there. And by the way, that's a very small percentage, probably less than 1%. When I was in the insurance industry, I was a qualifying member of what they call top of the table, the top 1% of life insurance agents in the country. You have to have an income of over $850,000 to be a member of this august organization. A couple things I noticed hanging around the top people in this country, top of the table. Number one, they all dressed impeccably. Every bloody one of them all the time. And they spent a lot of money on their dress. You had Hickey Freeman suits, Brown Brothers shirts. I mean, all the way, manicured pedigrees. I mean, it was just like incredible. And I asked him, well, why do you do that? I said, look, we lose one sale, it can cost us $40,000 or $50,000. You will never lose a sale if you're dressed right. You will lose sales if you're dressed improperly. Period. The end. And these guys were money motivated. So number one factor, and I'm talking about successful people. So all the other people listening, you can just tune out. That's fine. The other thing that unsuccessful people don't do, and this is very important, they worked like dogs. 80-hour weeks were very common. 100-hour weeks were not unusual. And so when I heard teachers the other day, oh, we work so hard, they put in 40 hours, they work 9 to 5. Let me tell you something. A 9 to 5 person will never be successful, ever. They don't put in enough hours. The 5 to 9 person is.
Hold on a second, Nick. Hold on a second, Nick. You were not listening.
It is what it is.
Hold on a second, Nick. You were not listening to your own. Nick, you were not listening. Nick, you were not listening to your own network yesterday. Hold on a second, Nick. You weren't listening to your own. You weren't listening to your own network yesterday because Dr. Anthony, who is a member of the teaching profession and does the show, the all around show and everything, actually pointed out that teachers work much more than 9 to 5 than people think that they are. Definitely oftentimes working many hours, that they don't have a lot of vacation times, and that they oftentimes have to work over the weekend to do their job and everything. So she was actually arguing that they don't have enough vacation days and everything in that space.
Cry me a river, Mark. That's absolutely not true. And I was a professor at Northeastern University for 12 years. It's one of the most cush jobs in the world. I wish they had a requirement. See, the teaching professor has all these crazy requirements to become a certified teacher. And unfortunately, because they're crazy, my wife never got certified. It was absolutely insane. Now she has a master's degree from University of Southern California, a bachelor's degree in English from Georgia State, went to NYU. And I'm going like, well, what's going on here? The problem with the teaching profession, one reason I started believing in charter schools, is how poorly they're managed. And cry me a river, they all have 3 months off. They all get the summer off. Come on. If you're in private industry, you get 3 months off. Let me tell you something. You are broke. So cry me a river someday.
Most of them will argue that during those 3 months, and like I said, I love to hear Debbie's thoughts about that. But most of them will argue that they actually are working during those 3 months, and that their pay is very low and everything. So I can actually bring Dr. Anthony on and some others, because she makes the very cogent arguments and everything about what is going on and
Nick,
how their hands are tied.
I wasn't born yesterday.
Before you do,
quite often.
Nick, did Steve Jobs kill the dress code? Just like JFK killed the hat?
In certain respects, he did, because the thing is, he dressed like a slob when he was part of Apple. But he had something that Elon Musk and all these people, he worked like a dog. Elon Musk,
I will not disagree with you on.
Pardon?
They did, yeah.
I mean,
Gary,
it's
Gary's like the same thing.
You're here and everything.
Yeah,
I want to hear your thoughts
Elon
around
Musk works
the school
24/7.
board
I mean,
and the
these guys are nuts.
teachers not working hard enough and everything. Because I know you have some teachers in
You
your
can't compare
family and
Elon Musk
everything.
with
So I'd love to
Steve
hear your
Jobs.
thoughts
I
about
mean,
Nick's argument that the
not even
teachers
close.
are getting away with murder because they get 3 months off.
So
They did.
teachers are extremely underpaid.
Oh, baloney.
Teachers
Come on,
work
so-
a tremendous amount of time. They actually have to work more than one job, including teaching.
Have
Teachers, and
the
then
job they
actually,
really need to
here's
do
the
is
funny
be in
thing,
private
Nick.
industry.
Here's a really
Private
funny thing
industry,
with your
you don't
argument
have to talk to me.
is that, teachers have to deal with the kids that the parents
Right.
prayed to go back to school because they could not deal with their own children. So those 30 kids in that one classroom that this one teacher has to deal with are all the kids that these parents prayed to go back to school. Because
You
they couldn't
speaking from
handle
experience?
it. Yes, speaking from experience and knowing how my mom wanted me to get out of that house. So yes, teachers are highly underpaid. Teachers are highly overworked. We also don't supply teachers with enough money to pay for their own supplies for the school that they have to teach
Cry
at.
me a bloody river, baby.
So I
Come
mean,
on.
the teachers, the 3 months off that we're complaining about, half the time the teachers are having to go through extracurricular things to keep their licenses and also prepare for the next school year.
I did
So
not say
them
that.
having their time off is
That's what I'm saying. They have really, really poor administration. And
I
that
think
is-
another thing comes up here too, and it's Nick, it's how you define success. Because there
Yes.
are some fabulous, wonderful teachers out there who are extremely successful in their field because they are so great with their kids. And I will tell you that the amount of time they spend with their kids is worth every minute of the 80 to 100 hours I work a week. So if you define money as success, I'm successful, they're not. However, I don't define success necessarily by money, and it's their own individual definition. And then you're also talking about teachers at a college level is a very different thing than being a teacher at a high school or grade school level. And I know from having close friends who were excellent teachers for many, many years, 40 years plus, that they are grading papers after school, they're grading papers at home, they are planning their schoolroom over the summer, and they're purchasing supplies, extra supplies, and reading the reading materials. So they're not off in the evening, they are working.
And as I stated,
same with
everything
private
Debbie
industry. This is
said,
what I'm saying. Please,
think about it, Nick.
please,
Everything that
don't
Debbie
put an
said,
entrepreneur next to a teacher. Come
no,
on.
no.
You know,
Your
they need
your
to go on
entrepreneur
work in a
learned
really
from
well for
who?
about 5 years.
Your
before they teach.
entrepreneur learned from who? A teacher. Your entrepreneur got taught to do that. So it wasn't like your entrepreneur came out and they were, hey, I'm creating jobs.
But they
didn't happen that way.
learned
A
it not
teacher
from the
had to
school
do that.
system, Toby, they don't learn entrepreneurship from the school
Yes, they
system.
do.
The school system teaches
Yes,
you
they
to
do.
be an employee.
Reason being, who's the first
Come on.
person a child actually really learns from? Yes, you've got your parents, but who are they inspired by? Their teachers.
I'm gonna go jump in on that, Jacoby. I think the research shows that, and I studied it at Glasgow University. I think the research shows that entrepreneurship is something that is usually learned from another person. So they're usually not learning that. It's modeled. It's role modeled by a parent. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship by being an entrepreneur, watching my mother, and also studying it at Glasgow University in a special business school course. So I don't think that the average everyday teacher is modeling entrepreneurship. Although they did teach me math, and I used that a lot, basic math, and they taught me to read and write, and they taught me to speed read, and all of those things have been critical in my success.
Hey, just really quickly along those same lines and everything I did.
As an
want to go back to the
entrepreneur,
band
right?
instructor
As
as
an
well.
entrepreneur.
Yes, thank
But
you.
And
just
she
really
did say
quickly,
she studied and she was taught. So
Thank-
therefore,
thank you,
teacher
Carol.
came out of that.
Yeah, it was
you
teachers at
cannot-
Glasgow University that taught me a lot about entrepreneurship and taught me the facts about
Well,
it.
Glasgow
and
University-
Debbie, one of the
I have another
leading
question.
entrepreneurship
Sorry.
schools is actually
Hold
right
a
here in
minute, hold a
Durham.
minute. I got another
That being the
question.
Fuquay School
Hold
of
a minute.
Durham and all
Wait
in that
a minute.
space
Mark,
and everything.
I got one more question. Glasgow University, that's located Where in the United States again, Debbie?
It's in Glasgow, Scotland. And I
Oh.
will tell you, I learned most
No-
of what
no
I
further
know about
questions.
business
Debbie,
ethics.
no
in Great
further
Britain.
questions. No further questions. It's Glasgow, Scotland. Thank you. Go on, Mark.
And
No,
again,
I was just
you
going to
keep
actually
skipping
point out.
over the key word. She studied from a university that has teachers.
Not in the United States, counselor. Okay, go on. Mark.
Still teachers.
No,
Oh,
I was
go
just
on.
going to actually mention something that was happening in the United States. And by the way, one of the leading business schools is here in Durham, that being the Fuquay School of Business and everything. But that being outside of the fact, I did just see recently, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, Nick, that a major university just recently got ranked in the top public schools, that being just down the road. I think that Jacoby knows them well, so he has relatives that go there. But UNC is number 4 in the nation in public schools. I think 22 overall in terms of education, but they are the number 4 public university, if I remember correctly. So I just wondering what your thoughts are when we decide to rank these schools the way we rank football teams and everything, because they just recently got that announcement that they were ranked in the top of the public schools and all in that space. So Nick, what's your thoughts when we do rankings like we do football teams?
A lot of it is just pure garbage and very unfortunate. And I saw that ranking. It was called the Wall Street Journal ranking. Very biased toward the Northeast, of course, because the Wall Street Journal is heading that direction, and frankly has zero metrics behind it. So the metrics are all skewed, and the results were absolutely horrible. As much as I don't like the U.S. News and World Report rankings, which is also another magazine's opinion, okay, they're frankly, their metrics are better than the Wall Street Journal. That's what you're seeing, the garbage that was spewed by UNC, which is basically, they give so many praises to UNC, and I drove down there the other day. To me, it's a hellhole. I mean, the traffic is horrible. They have no parking at all. And when they do have parking, their computer systems don't work. Why would anyone go there? It's great, I guess, if you're 18 years old. Oh boy, it's the first time I'm at a university. And you're from North Carolina. If you're from anywhere else in the country, you wouldn't go there. And that's where UNC really is, for what it's worth. They have a decent, great football team, and Miami's going to come up and clean their clock. But go on. Where I went to,
what's your thoughts about UNC? And I was actually watching the show. I don't think it was one of ours, but they were talking about how UNC has now got this kind of corporate environment, because now there's what used to be the major strip has got like a Target or a Target down there and everything. So I just wondered your thoughts about some of the gentrification that is even taking place on our college campuses as well, because that's what somebody was complaining about.
Yeah,
That's capitalism.
Can I add one more insult to UNC? Okay, to add more. Okay, so Stanford and Berkeley, which are actually really good schools, even though I hate Berkeley because they hate the South. If you ever go to Berkeley, they hire nobody from the South, ever, because they think the South is so backwards they only hire one professor at their law school. And I did a whole check on them. I go, you got to be crazy. But Stanford and Berkeley are really good schools. They want to join the ACC, and North Carolina said, no, we don't want them. Who the heck is North Carolina to say they don't want Stanford? Are you out of your bloody mind? And so that shows the craziness of the University of North Carolina and their system that's here.
Not at all. That is a whole different.
Chapel Hill can go down the bloody hill as far as
that is a whole
I live in Durham,
animal.
but I am not from North Carolina.
Jumping in and out of conferences, just the same way the Pac-12 is basically dissolved and now down to 2 teams. That's all about money. The reason there are different schools left and went to the Big 12, went to the SEC, went to all these, it's about money. That's what that comes down to.
Okay, Mr. Money Man, let me add one more insult to your argument, Jacoby. The big money man here in the ACC is Duke University, an endowment of $12.6 billion. Oh, that's a lot of money. Clemson has like $800 million. So does Florida State, who yap out, we need money. But that's because they only have $1 billion. Stanford, over $35 billion.
You're missing the point.
Rightfully so.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with your argument there. Here's your problem with your flimsy argument. You're talking about, here's your problem with the flimsy argument. This is where money and capitalism comes into play. The biggest money thing out there right now is football. Across America, college football makes a ton of money. Stanford and Berkeley don't have that big time money coming in for there. So your Stanford and Berkeley can have all this money coming in. Where's that money coming from, and why are their tuition so high? That should be your argument rather than, well, we have all this money. No, the money, the reason why Stanford and Berkeley weren't accepted into the ACC is because their college programs don't bring in that much money.
That's because they don't need to, Jitovi, because they are rich. They're not the poor UNC or Clemson and
so they
State.
Can stay
Clemson and Florida State.
not
The
have
reason
anybody to play.
they yap all the time about money is Clemson and Florida State are broke relative to Stanford. And
Well, hold on a second. Sometimes we can also have universities that go and basically go and to games that they know they're going to lose because of the money. There was no way that Central thought that they were going to beat UCLA at Pasadena, but they went there because they collected a nice check and everything. It was a nice
thing. Out of their minds, they got
no. They never thought they were going to beat UCLA. The whole reason that game got played is because Central got money out of that game. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
These small time games that get put that way.
Are you kidding?
It's all about money.
You know, you're smoking some heavy weed here in North Carolina.
No, nobody thought Central was going to beat UCLA. The only reason that game got made was because of money. It was the reason
they got paid $1 million to play them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Chikatovi.
I mean, it's fair enough to say that Stanford is rich. Berkeley certainly attracts money because at one point they were #1 in the world, according to U.S. News and World Report. However, they're a public university. They don't have a lot of money. A lot of their students are there on scholarships. My son was one of them. So, and I'm not giving money to the university. I may have it, but I don't have enough to do what they need. That's for sure.
Okay, well, my question is this to Berkeley, and I still have the question today. Their law school, which is a pretty big law school, has 0 professors from the South.
Oh, I agree with you. They should have people from the South.
They claim to be a national university, but they snub completely the South. And we have
that's wrong.
Universities in the South.
They need people from the South.
What's wrong with Berkeley's attitude that they won't hire one professor from the South? I don't get it.
They're California State University.
Then they don't need to be a national university. They're not a national university. They're a regional university. Please put them in their place.
I would have to agree with you. They are. They're run by state chancellors.
Right.
They are not
regional university. Yeah. They're good regional university, but to be a national university, they have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they include nobody.
Inclusion is inclusive of everyone, and I think they've done
with the Supreme Court.
Hear from conservatives that they've done well with some great conservative thinkers, but they need to open that out to people from all over the United States.
Yeah, right.
Because they're missing out if they don't. It's their law.
That was my complaint to Berkeley, and
I agree.
The response is basically we don't care. Now, because of that, I had a little chip on Berkeley, but of course now they're joining the ACC. So now I like Berkeley. At least they're part of the ACC, and maybe they will start understanding there's a world outside of California. And I know that
some of the good news, some of the news coming to us from Georgia, and I hear some great things about North Carolina. I think maybe they will grow out of some of that nonsense, hopefully.
Well, we have the Research Triangle Park, but here's the reality of North Carolina. If you're in San Francisco, Bay Area, 40% of all venture capital comes from San Francisco. State of North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham, the Research Triangle Park, which we tout, 0.75, not even 1%. The fact is, the South is poor, the West is rich, the Northeast is rich, and the South is still poor. And that's the realities of it. The problem with the people here is they don't know they're poor. The people in North Carolina don't know they're busted. Go to San Francisco, then you'll learn. You're broke.
No, a lot of folks know that it's very poor down here, even though there are some things that are going on in the Northeast.
I don't know if we can go with
it. Just really quickly, I was going to get to the band directors, but I definitely want to hear Jitovi's thoughts about this that I mentioned earlier. And it was one of those other fun stories. But apparently the band director was tased and arrested after he disregarded police requests to stop his band's performance following a high school football game according to the Birmingham Police Department. So the incident happened Thursday following a win by Minor High School at PD Jackson Olin High School. And Birmingham police officers started clearing out the stadium, which makes sense. The game's over, clear out the stadium, and noticed both school bands still performing. And officials spoke with the band directors and asked them to stop playing music so students and attendees would leave the stadium. The home team band stopped playing when asked, but Miners band director Johnny Mims did not stop and instructed his band to stop performing, according to Birmingham police. And it was around that time that I guess he got tased and everything. And that's also when they kept this performance going and all along those lines. So yes, and the band body cam video, you gotta love those body cams, released by Birmingham police, show multiple officers telling Mims to end the performance while the band director repeats, "Get out of my face. We're fixing to go. This is our last song. And when one officer threatens you will go to jail," Mims responded with a thumbs up and says, "That's cool." And that's when I guess when he got tased and told the folks to keep on playing. So what are our thoughts about one, body cams? And I guess he was determined to get that last song in, no matter what was going on and everything. But what are our thoughts around?
Well, I think as the mother of a musician with a music and computing degree from Cal Berkeley, I would say, if they were in the middle of their last song or had begun their last song, let them finish the song. That's just a courtesy. However, if not, if they were in the middle of a group of songs, they needed to cease when the police told them to cease. But I
agree with you. But why is that relevant? Why was he tased? What's one? I don't get the connection.
What does their contract say? I'm sure they have a contract, either written, implied, or verbal, as to the amount of time that they can play. What does the contract say? I mean, the police might be in the wrong if the thing is there's somewhere in the terms of service that says you have till midnight to clear out, or the police could be in the right if they stay past midnight and the terms of service says you have to be cleared out by midnight. So they'll be really up to what the contract says.
Even if they violated that gives them the right to tase the guy?
Yeah, I agree.
You mean if they violated the contract, do they have the right to remove? Well, let me ask you this.
Not to remove. No, to tase the guy.
Well, let me ask you.
Mims' attorney, hold on a second. Mims' attorney, Mims' attorney, John Deland,
if somebody trespasses on your house.
Yeah, hold on a second.
And then
I was going to give you what
somebody trespasses on your house, Lee, and they ask them to leave and they won't leave. Would you want them tased or you want them just to stay in your house?
That's private property. This is public property.
Lee and Nick, what they
the police are there. If they can't control the situation, arrest the guy if he needs to be arrested. But you go from nothing to tasing?
Hold on a second. This is what their attorney said. And by the way, their attorney is also a state representative in Alabama. But he said that this incident is an alarming abuse of power and a clear violation of our clients' civil rights. It is unacceptable for law enforcement to engage in home rule in the field of play or with regard to banned activities unless there is a significant threat to the safety of the general public. And he added that they plan to pursue legal action against the police department. So they are saying that they overstepped their bounds and everything, and definitely looks like they were even seen tussling and everything because they had the body cams on them and all.
So if you want, I've got
the reason lawyers stay employed, Mark. I mean, we get paid because people do stupid things, on both sides, and then you have to go look at contracts and blah blah blah. It becomes a big incident, And
here's the actual body cam footage of it.
Yeah, I mean, what they're going to show is body cam footage of somebody being tased. But the real question is...
I mean, they show the whole thing.
Okay, does it show the whole thing?
Let's take a look.
The real thing is, did this person have the right to be there or not have the right to be there? And who knows?
So this is full 7 minutes. This is...
The Birmingham Police Department would like to share body-worn camera footage from the incident surrounding the Minor versus JO football game, played on Thursday, September 14th, 2023. During the incident, BPD officers took Minor High School's band director into custody. He was charged with the following: disorderly conduct, physical harassment, and resisting arrest. Since the incident, Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman has met with Mayor Randall Woodfin, City of Birmingham leadership's team, and the superintendents of the Birmingham school system and the Jefferson County school system. At the direction of BPD Chief Scott Thurman, we are releasing this body-worn camera footage to the general public, and to our media partners.
"30-second audio delay." Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be exciting. So you have to have some excitement in Birmingham, some entertainment. So go arrest a band director. That's really smart.
Do we need to bring out the folding chairs?
I don't know. You're probably right, Jatobi. You know, we need to get on the microphone. Did this team win or lose?
It should have stopped right there.
Right.
He hit the officer. He got to go to jail. He swung on the officer. I did not swing on the officer, man. Y'all driving low. Because I asked him for respecting us. That's some disrespect. Hold up, someone got my taser. Ain't nobody leaving till I get my taser. Hold up, relax. Ain't nobody leaving. To the bus. Come on now. Here you go, right here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, go get his taser.
The officers escalated this situation.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the officers totally escalated this situation and along those lines and everything, because that was definitely escalated.
And Mark
And
and
by the
Toby,
way,
that may be true, but the band leaders are role models. You have students there. This is this is a teachable moment on how to deal with law enforcement. And I don't think they modeled good behavior. Whether the officers are right or not, that could be handled at another time.
So Lee,
They needed
just point
to
out,
de-escalate the situation.
the officer,
This is a big problem because I think the police officer's totally in the wrong because they need to learn when they're in situations.
I don't disagree with you. I think they overreacted, but I don't think the way the band director
Lee,
displayed behavior that is
here's the
good
question.
for the students to see.
The band
You-
director ended
You
the
can
performance
deal with
and then
that
walked away.
outside of all this drama. Okay, so the thing is that they need to deal with outside. This was kind of over the top. You know,
I
whereas
was
Chief
the other-
officers whose behavior should be called. I got that. You can call a supervisor, what have you. And I agree with all
Deal with
that.
that.
They shouldn't have just let them play. What's the big deal?
That's
Why
the
the
point.
police get involved?
hold on a second.
I
Hold on a
think it's
second.
a very
Jacoby
teachable
and
moment
hold
for
on
the
a second.
students.
I agree with
Hold
you.
on a second.
Lee. Let 'em
Jacoby and
play.
Lee,
Let's-
the one
yeah.
question I've got to ask you, which I don't think the video ever answered, because I've actually seen the impact and I only seen it once, but it was once enough to resonate with me and everything. We don't even know the impact. The gentleman looked like a strong band director, but I know for a fact that tasers can be very deadly and everything. Because I remember one time that I was with a person. It was actually when I was dating a young lady in Raleigh. The gentleman got tased because it was a situation of domestic situation and everything. He got tased. Kim, you may remember the case because it was over there, not that far from Glenwood and everything. But he got tased and he was tased to death because of some of his outstanding outstanding medical conditions that they didn't think about at the time that they tased. Because they didn't realize that the tase was going to literally kill him. And that was incident in Raleigh several years back and everything. But a lot of times they don't know what the impact is going to be of the tase.
I was horrified by that. My son was in the band, so I could place myself practically in those bleachers. And granted, it was a very different school makeup. Most of the kids were, if not as white as me, you know, they were Latina or Latino or Asian. It was a different composition of kids. But I think about what my son would have done with his beloved band director, and I suspect they would have mobbed the police. I'm surprised they didn't have a full-scale riot on their hands. And kudos to those kids for being smart enough to stand their ground and just stay there and scream. Screaming was a good move. Or get out of there. But of course they were directed to stay. It's interesting that the police didn't go after the major domo, the guy who was actually really directing it. They left that kid alone. And of course it was a kid. But what really troubles me about it too is the trauma that it gives to those kids. How do they know that that guy wasn't actually shot? Sure, there were no gunshots. They probably figured that out. But still, your first reaction is your beloved band director goes down. That's terrifying, absolutely terrifying for kids.
And the band director may have every right to be there too. See, that's the
Yes.
problem.
And they left those kids unsupervised.
Remember-
He's the guy who makes sure all those kids get home safe. So
The
now
band
who's
director
looking
worked
after all
for the
those kids
school.
that are probably age 14 to 18?
But they were probably relying on the police. But Nick, I mean, maybe you can help me out here. Maybe somebody else on the panel can. But would it be wrong to say that somebody in that crowd could have had the right to dial 911 and say we're being attacked by the police? And
100%.
Well, the FBI.
more legal
Yeah.
authority, please contact the mayor or the governor. We're here just doing our thing at the school, and the police have attacked us, and we're in fear of our life from the police. Can we do that? Because 911, people don't understand this. 911 is a separate dispatch unit from law enforcement. So you're recorded then, legally recorded about everything that's going on behind you. All of that legal recording can be used as evidence. So, Nick, can we do that?
Well, first, there's a lot of facts we don't know. First, were they the police or they hired security officers? I don't know if they were actually police. Number two, did they really have jurisdiction over that? The band leader, because he works for the school, may have every right to be there, where the police may not. And so they may have a big legal problem with how they conducted themselves.
Oh, I would
to Kim's point,
I were a
people could have
parent,
called 911.
Yes,
I would sue the pants off the
well,
city.
they're being
everything.
sued. But
The
the thing is,
security.
what
everything.
happened to the training with police to learn to de-escalate situations?
So
Oh,
take
Nick,
Why
that went
Americans
away
are
with
like-
Trump, sweetie.
So-
That went away
hold
with
a
Trump.
second.
Nobody
Jacoby,
de-escalates.
hold a second.
Not
Jacoby,
escalate.
before you speak, did you notice what the officer did? The officer actually, I mean, not the officer, but what the band director did. He was actually following the instructions that a lot of people are given and everything. So he actually was putting his hands up. He was doing a number of other things that are encouraged to do
His hands
if
up.
you are going to not confront the police.
But not only that, the police told him to end it. He said, this is our last song, we're ending it. He ended it. He walked away from the police. They chased him down. So now if you take that that trauma that Debbie was talking about, and this is where it begins to get really, really scary. And this is the problem that people get so mad. Oh, well, he's kneeling to the anthem and kneeling all this. Well, every single one of those kids will never trust the police from this point on. So if anything happens in their neighborhood, they're not going to rely on the police because they're going to fear for their lives and the lives of the people around them now. And that they're going to spread that down. So now we keep talking about, oh, we got to help out the police this and the police that. Well, because of situations just like this, that's what people kneeled for. That's what people are talking about. This was an escalation that should have never, ever happened. So, Lee, when you said that, this is a teachable moment for the kids. No.
I don't think when you get pulled over by a cop or stopped by a cop, that's when you should start pushing back. Make them answer for any behavior later.
The
It
band
never ends good.
The band director did everything correct.
He did.
Both of
see
them.
He could have behaved differently. Could he not have?
No, Lee, what did you want him to
Sasha?
do? He
Hold on a
walked
second.
away.
Sasha wanted to make a point.
He ended it.
I don't think that the band leader had done at least two mistakes. Actually, three, but third one later. When he was proposed by whoever it is, police officer, to stop, he should have not said that I have one more song to play. He must have asked permission to play one more song. And if he wouldn't get that permission, stop it right away. Now, if he would get permission, then he would play his last song. By the way, the quality of musicianship of all this band is horrible, and they all should have been arrested together.
No, they're children. They're kids. They're learning.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't
The
matter.
drunk
They
uncle is
do the
back.
public performance.
Yeah,
It has
and
to
it's
be
late at
on a
night.
certain level, just tiny little bit
So
makes
again,
sense.
It's
But
high school, Sasha.
know how to
Yeah,
play.
Sasha.
Why would people be exposed to this horrible musicians?
Sasha,
So they
Sasha,
all should have
it's a
been
high
arrested.
school band. It's a high school band, Sasha.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
So
does.
get
Sasha.
better musicians.
Yes, Sasha. To your first point, I agree with you.
Let them play hockey. Let them fight or whatever.
Sasha,
Just
it's a high
stop
school band.
horrible music, because horrible music is more dangerous for people than no music at all. So please don't do that. Ask
Oh,
them
dear
to
Lord.
listen to music, not to play. Listen to music. Ask them listen to Mozart, Beethoven, Bach.
Toby says it with a straight face.
Saying this horrible nonsense.
I'm just curious what you've been drinking this morning.
Vodka.
Yeah.
Because I am
Morning block
in
and
my
I'm
everything.
going to say, has our
By the
country
way, let me finish.
drugs?
So this situation is absolutely would be unheard of in Canada. If in Canada police officer tell you to do something, you don't even think whether it's right or wrong. What are your rights and the Constitution or Bill of Rights or whatever it might be? You just follow exactly what
I
the police
disagree.
tells you right at the moment.
I have to ask a
Instantly.
question.
Then,
because
disagree.
you can sue him. You can do something later.
only-
At the moment, follow instructions. Obediently.
Kim, what were you saying?
I'm gonna go along with some things that when a law enforcement officer is talking to you, unfortunately, they have a license to kill, and I always just shut my mouth and do whatever they tell me and sue them later. But because to me that's the best way to deal with things. But I have to question one. I didn't get to see the whole video. My internet's in and out, but why were they being told not to play anymore? And if Nick was here or maybe Steve can shed some light, it's just a school band. Come on, guys, let them keep playing. What is wrong with them playing? I would rather them keep playing music on the field than going out drinking the way half of the football team does. Come on, get some little respect for the band director saying, hey, let's just keep having fun.
Contrast how
right.
Contrast the armed felon who escaped from prison was treated with how the school teacher was treated with a bunch of kids.
I just watched how they treat MS-13 versus how they treat this band director.
Here's
I'm shocked. He's a band director encouraging kids to, hey, let's play one more song. Let's do this. Let's have more fun doing the songs. And you got the police going, you got to leave now. You got to leave now. One more song, dude. One more song.
So here's the interesting thing.
They need to encourage more of this kind of thing. Again, as a parent, I would have rather had my kids as a principal. I would have rather had the kids on the field playing than going out and doing the hooligan crap that they do after a game. And don't tell me they don't. And because it's Birmingham, Alabama, baby. I know that town just like I know Raleigh, North Carolina. These kids go out and get drunk. I would rather that than and shame on the police for tasing a man who was trying to all right, I'm going down. I'm not going to resist, but why am I being arrested? Because I really didn't break a law. He didn't break a law. He was not breaking a law.
Well, they said he was being arrested. There was a subtitle there. He was being arrested because he disrespected the police.
That's not breaking a law.
Exactly.
Disrespecting the police is not breaking a law.
It's much worse. Actually, it's much worse, and it's very stupid to disrespect police. At least
that's what I said. It's stupid. It's not against the law. It's stupid.
It's human.
No, they did this on purpose to put Birmingham, Alabama on the map.
I'm not going to say they were right or wrong, but I'm going to say they weren't breaking the law. I think those officers severely overuse their power of authority, and they should be reprimanded, if not sent to anger management school to learn how. But I want to tell everyone this is what's happened to this country since Trump took over a few years ago. There is nobody who tries to diffuse the problem. They all try to escalate it.
So,
Kim, just really quickly, hold on a second, because we're winding down and everything. But Kim, you had mentioned about a incident that was going on, not so much of this kind of incident, but it was one of our alumni from Pod TV that is doing stuff with the Special Olympics. I just wondered if you would share a little bit about that, because that thing is getting ready to take place. That whole activity, that's what I was looking for, is going to take place in September at the end of this month and everything. So if you can just share a little bit about that before we wind down, and then Steve may have some closing remarks as well. I saw Steve been trying to get in all during this time. And of course, we've got Ukraine, Russia, China coming up at 11. But really quickly, tell us about this Special Olympics activity.
Well, as we all know, Dr. Arthur, as we know him, is always getting involved, raising awareness and money for many different projects. One of my favorites that he's always done is weekend DJing, and he gives the money back to victims of domestic violence support. This time, he's doing a Tom Cruise superhero super movie stunt, and he's rappelling down one of the buildings in downtown Raleigh, 11:45, September 30th, and it's for the Special Olympics. He's raising money. The link's below, everyone. If you can, please donate. I mean, I can't believe he's doing this. My heart races, and I'm going to go watch him because I support everything that anyone from our community is doing like this, especially from Pod TV. So please support Dr. Arthur. You can check him out on my Facebook as well. But he's doing something fabulous as always, but something super movie-like. I mean, this is what Tom Cruise did. And here, Dr. Arthur's doing it, but Dr. Arthur's in super great physical shape. I see him going out and doing many things like this. And so, I hope to see some down there, 11:45, September 30th. I think it's the Wells Fargo building, 150 Fayetteville Street, Raleigh, North Carolina. Be there or watch it.
We'll have to see if we can't get it on the air.
In advance.
We'll see if we can't get it on the air and everything along those lines, either before or after the fact. I was actually just reading, and Toby might find this interesting, that apparently Debbie Allen goes up and down at her age, and I think she's in her 70s, if I remember it correctly, because we were talking about it on Dr. Anthony's show, but she's going up and down the Santa Monica bridge on those Santa Monica steps. So that's a whole lot of steps that she is taking on a regular basis, and I'm sure Debbie can relate to that because she's in California, but I think they said it was something like 167 steps up and 180 steps down or something like that. But that's a lot of steps that you're going up and down on a regular basis over there in Santa Monica. So Debbie, I'm thinking that's amazing feat. One, that she can do it because she is a known celebrity and she's not mobbed while she's going up and down the steps, and two, that she does this apparently on a regular basis to keep fit in her age range and everything along those lines. But any thoughts about that, Debbie? Because like I said, you're more in that California area, but I know that it's a whole lot of steps to be going up and down.
Yeah, it is doable. I count my steps every day. I've got a 3-story house, and I do about that number of steps every day. Doing them all at once is much more difficult. It's like climbing or hiking. The weather in California is great for it. Not too hot, not too cold. So it's doable, and it takes a good level of fitness. Good for her.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, any closing thoughts? I know you've been popping in and out and everything. We've had an interesting conversation about a number of things.
Sorry, I didn't really have much to add today. Well, I'll try to make it tonight. I'm going to be out for the next few weeks. I've had some personal matters come up, but real quickly, I just want to say that Canada, basically is accusing India of being involved with an assassination of an Indian national there. Indian Canadian citizen, Mr. Hardeep Singh. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Ukraine has invaded. Russian drones have attacked a Ukrainian city, Lviv, and so there's a warehouse on fire. And we'll talk a little bit about the Iranian swap, and we'll talk about some of this on Foreign Politics this evening. And of course, no real new news. So Hunter Biden, controversy surrounding him, and I think he's suing he's suing the IRS. So this thing's just going back and forth. But we'll be back tomorrow, and then I'll be back this evening, hopefully for a few minutes at 5 for World Politics. So thank you all for being on the show. Sorry I was late today, and talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you all so much.
No problem at all. We're going to get on out of here. Hopefully one of our other people is doing well, because the other thing that I was going to mention is there is a major storm over there in Australia. So hopefully Shaquille, even though we sometimes disagree with him, is weathering that storm and everything, or he might even be traveling and all along those lines. But I did see that there was a major storm hitting Sydney and all along those lines. I think it's one of those type storms and all in that space. So hopefully he is doing well and is weathering the storm, to use that phrase and everything. So on that note, we'll get ready to get on out of here and pray for those, not just our partner in crime, Shaquille, but others that are dealing with that storm and other storms that are taking place around the world as well. So whether that is political storms or actual weather storms and all in that way. But we're going to get on out of here. And like I said, I do know that right about now, the Ukraine, Russia, China show is starting as well. And we do have World View and World Politics. World Politics will be coming on at 5 o'clock, and World View will be coming on with Chris Greco at 3. So we've got a lot of things talking about the world that is coming up on a regular basis on Tuesday. So right now, let's get on out of here.